Where you Justin is at? And then we'll see about it.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
No, I was having the worst time with my neck.
It's all that dancing.
I'm glad you said it before I did.
Funny thing, it doesn't hurt me
No,
when
we're
I'm
seeing
dancing.
one coming down.
That's because you said that. That's
That's the what? What'd you say? What kind of rumors are these?
hey, I said it in front of you.
No, you did not. You said it behind my
But
back.
I knew he was going to say it.
No, but what, were you gonna say that, William?
I definitely was not going to say that. No, not at all. No.
That's where I'm gonna say.
What did you say? You said I
I
was
just said,
drinking?
no, you had too much wine.
But yeah, it looks really great.
See?
Listen,
Whatever.
I'll tell anybody.
That's
I
where
call
y'all
Mitch
roll.
dance man. And I can't dance.
You're right. I can't dance either, so it's got to make
Probably
it.
don't have mosquitoes.
We're running late.
I don't know if they do or not.
Just with those doors and windows open.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right here, that
I
muscle.
think there's
That's
probably
beautiful.
a lot of wind
Are you going down?
right on the
Can
equator.
you go?
Apparently the
Will
water's
they work on it?
Either that or Hey, Sigma.
read.
Ready? Good evening. Welcome to the City of Mount Holly City Council work session this March 23rd of 2026. I'd like to call our meeting to order. We're going to start out with our invocation and our pledge of allegiance. If you would, please stand with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day and for all the blessings that you bestow upon us, Lord. Continue to be with us during this meeting, Lord. Just guide us and direct us. And we appreciate everyone that's here tonight, and we want to represent our city the best way that we can. So we continue to ask for your prayers and your guidance in everything that we do here today. We ask all these things in your precious and heavenly name. Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilwoman Shoemaker.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. This time, we're going to set the agenda. I would like to add one item to the agenda, closed session to our agenda at the end of the program here. Any other changes? Thank you, sir. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, I'd need a motion to approve. Mr. Reeves, second by Ms. Shoemaker. All in favor? Motion passes. We have 7 items on the consent agenda. Is everyone good with that? I would like to mention that we are doing our appointment of our finance director, Ashley Whitstein. Ashley, hello. Thank you for being here. We appreciate that. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Mr. Meadows and second by Mr. Craig. All in favor? Motion passes. All right, we're going to go into our presentations. Get to know Gaston, Adam Gaub, and Gavin Stewart.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council, everyone in attendance tonight. Appreciate y'all hearing us and welcoming us tonight in the City of Mount Holly. And first of all, thank you specifically to the Parks and Rec Department, who is, and Chloe Clary specifically, who I've been working very closely with in the planning of Get to Know Gaston 2026, which is here in the City of Mount Holly, which we're very, very excited about. We'll kind of get into it a little bit, but this was an event that we started last year and sort of designed to be a road show. So the intention is to bring it to all corners of the county and all areas so that we can best reach our residents. And so the why, and this really starts out with Adam, who's our communications director for Gaston County. We noticed that, when you do public hearings, and maybe it's like kind of on an oddball day, and it's about a very niche topic that you may experience, one, maybe nobody comes to those meetings. We specifically at the county are dealing with a lot of ARPA projects. We have many other capital projects that are either in planning, we've approved funding for, or we're about to. So we just have a lot on our plate right now, in addition to our comprehensive land use plan, which we're updating. And so we've kind of got all of these things on deck. And to us, it just makes sense not only to bring all those things into one place, but also to update you on what we're doing. You're having a hard time hearing? Okay, sorry. Is this the mic? Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me a little bit better? Right there? Does it need to be over here?
You can move it over.
Okay. Cool. How's that? Is that better?
That's good.
It's better? Okay. Thank you. And then also, you know, we have plenty of departments who are very public-facing. Their goal is to get, whether that's voter registration, library cards, that sort of thing. So to us, it's just a win-win. So the inspiration for this event, we attend, just like many of your staff probably attend conferences. They learn new things. They share ideas. We learned about Gather Round Georgetown. Georgetown, Texas, population of 50,000. They had several things that they needed to get the word out about to their residents. And so, you know, what better way to do that than over ice cream? Do it in a family-friendly environment, low budget type of thing, you know, ice cream, 160 people, not too expensive, a lot cheaper than a big marketing plan or something like that. And so that was a relatively successful event. And so that's kind of what we modeled Get to Know Gaston around. And again, these are some of the things that you're going to see at Get to Know Gaston. Pretty much bringing together that entertainment aspect to what I like to think of as a local government open house. And so you'll see live music, bounce houses for the children, touch a truck. That's a very popular thing, especially around in Gaston County. You're going to see a lot of the major municipalities hold something like that. And so we kind of tapped into that as well because Gaston County did not host one previous to there. This is what kind of makes our event unique, but we do use a passport system. I can talk more about that here in just a minute, but that is essentially your guide. So when you show up to this event and you are there to learn about these things, this is going to guide you through the event. Again, our first Get to Know Gaston was held April 2025. Actually, it was around the time that Gastonia Ghost Peppers, like literally, you see Peppy there. We all have opinions about Peppy, but it was a great thing for them, a great thing for us, great outreach for the county and City of Gastonia, who we partnered with on this event. So it was City of Gastonia, Gaston County departments. We also brought in the local partners. Again, we had Peppy nearby, Gaston County Schools, Gaston College. I believe we had Gaston Business Association, Shield Museum, maybe a few others who, again, we've worked with, we all know of in our communities, but giving them that platform. Essentially, you could come see me. I would give you a passport. You visit 10 booths. I think we had over 30 booths. You just go talk to 10 booths or go learn something or receive something or sign up for something. You come back and see me, you get a voucher for food. You go to a food truck, you got a meal. We had one food truck sell out of food that night, which I assume they were pretty happy about that. Other folks who didn't get a chance to try that food truck weren't as happy, but we've learned from that, and so we'll be bringing more this year. And we did this on a $10,000 budget, all, by the way, paid for by Gaston County, not anything that the City of Gastonia had to pay for, because again, it's our event that we kind of want to give ownership to, and we're working directly with the city to help put on an event like this, but we don't expect them to necessarily, pull anything out of their pockets. Now the fun part, the part that you get to attend and you get to interact with. I believe we have 6 Mount Holly departments. So that's fire, that's police, planning and zoning, finance, HR, clerk's office. Did I mention them all? Something like that. It was 6 of them. So we're going to have 6 Mount Holly departments. Gaston County Schools will be there, Gaston College, GBA again, U.S. Army, and there's many others, again, who are partners in our community. I believe Department of Insurance will also have a booth there to do some outreach. And this year we do have 4 food trucks. We plan to bring in the same inflatable entertainment for children, so bounce houses, a slide, obstacle course, that sort of thing. And then because this is happening at a park, we really wanted to tap into that park atmosphere, that waterfront, again, just enjoying sort of a picnic in a local park. And so we actually brought in some yard games, so people will be able to enjoy cornhole. I think there's Big Connect 4, Jenga, that sort of thing. So there's just going to be a lot to do for families in addition to learning about their community. So there's a little flyer that we have going around. And again, I mentioned that passport. These are a few pages from last year's passport. As you can see, we have their logo, we have their name, we have a QR code linking to their website or whatever web page it is that they want you to connect to. And you're going to learn a little bit about them too. So maybe if you didn't get a chance to talk to them for a long time, you at least literally have a takeaway. I think one of the really cool things about this passport was, this is something they got to take home, but for children, we had police department handing out like sticker badges, for children. And so children were stickering up their passports like they literally had something to leave with, and something that they could hang on to and literally kind of have a piece of history and just an educational piece as well. So we were really excited about this, and we're excited to bring it to Mount Holly. So I appreciate it. That's pretty much all I've got. I can answer any questions, and like I said, I have Adam here as well for our team. So,
Any questions?
Thank you.
Good job, man. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Next up on our agenda is sanitation truck options at purchase lease. Mr. Jason Green.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It seems like every time I come to talk to you, I need some money. But this year, I'm hoping to save a little bit of money. The Mount Holly Public Works Department, the past 2 years, we've purchased 2 sanitation trucks. We've purchased those out of capital funds. We've paid cash up front for 1 automated side loader truck and 1 rear loader truck. In that type of purchase that we've done, we've also worked into a maintenance schedule into these vehicles. As you know, we have a garage at the shop that is really proficient in oil changes, brakes, diagnostics on some smaller things, but when you get to these diesel trucks, it really costs the city a lot of money. So on the last 2 purchases that we've done, we've worked in the fees of preventative maintenance. We're paying for the oil changes up front. We're paying for, we call them the service, the wet service of the vehicle. So we've paid for those up front for these vehicles for the next 5 years. On both of these vehicles we've done. Keeping the same concept going, we've reached out to Peterbilt in Charlotte, the Larson Group, and I wanted to know what it would take if we went with a lease purchase, a leasing side of these garbage trucks. Could we get the same benefit of what we're doing when we pay them in capital? And my hopes were the original capital cost that we're paying for these garbage trucks, $400,000, could we spread that out into payments so that my street sanitation budget wouldn't be so high in the capital line item? And with doing that, we've worked up some numbers to where I feel like it'd be beneficial, but I wanted to bring it to the board as well. As you can see on the slide here, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays is our garbage pickup. Each day of the week, we run 4 garbage trucks every day, except on Tuesdays, we run 5. So we currently have 2 that we've purchased. I'm requesting 2 more. And with that request it would be an additional ASL, which is automated side loader, and a rear loader. We have 1 of each now, and I need 1 of each to get the routes done efficiently and effectively. Studying, working with Beth Ann, and we know that we've got growth coming down the road. I just didn't want to pay that capital up front and come into budget time and ask for another $400,000 when I've asked you that for the past 2 years to get these trucks. So I'm trying to reduce that capital, but spread these payments out over the next several years. And as the slide shows, we've got our growth that's coming. Cost comparison. An automated side loader garbage truck is the picture that you see there, is the one that is a single driven truck. The driver, it don't require people on the back. It's just a driver only. He goes out, he picks up the can and dumps it. To purchase that is $408,000. In that purchase price is also the services that I were talking about of the oil changes, the preventative maintenance side of it. and I've got some numbers for you guys on that as well. The preventative maintenance side of it, I think that's where in the past years we've had some heartaches with that. In years 2025 alone, we spent $221,000 in maintenance in our garbage trucks just because the fleet has aged so hard. Currently this year, we're only at $68,000. So we went from spending $228,000 to spending $68,000 in maintenance side. And I think that's due to these purchases to where we've came in and put the preventative maintenance in up front. Looking at the rear loaders, it's $357,000 with the lease purchase of $6,900 a month. The automated side, $7,400. And you could tell that the prices of the lease is more expensive on the long run versus the purchase price. But that's because there's a finance charge and other things, other fees that you pay in there. At the end of the lease, would we have the option to buy it? We can. We can also opt out at year 1 or year 2 that we want to buy it. We can. But these prices have worked in the services and the maintenance of the vehicles. I would also like to point out that the current lease that if we go the lease route, that covers bumper to bumper for the entire term of the lease. That's cab, chassis, and body, to where when we purchase, all we're getting is cab and chassis. We're not getting any body work. So with the lease, we're getting full coverage for the entire term of these leases. What are the pros and cons for the lease? In my opinion, and people have different opinions of lease versus purchase, but with a capital purchase of a garbage truck, it kind of makes a little sense that this may be the way we need to go. The pros, all capital is not needed up front. It's continuously rotating our fleet. It's complete cab and body coverage, more efficient planning, consistent budget numbers for 72 months, annual option to purchase, less equipment downtime, driver incentive retention, improved fleet image, breakdown coverage, and it keeps fundings open for other projects. The cons that I could come up with when I was doing some research on this was the lease expenses. It's more to lease, but there's a capital to it too, because if we want out, we want to buy it, or what would be our options later down the road. The con would also be no ownership. Currently with the 2 that we bought, they're ours. These leases would not be ours unless we chose to go that route. The pros and cons for purchase. The pros is just the opposite. Ownership, no lease. The cons to a purchase of it is the limited warranty. The cost inflation. Each year these garbage trucks go up with the cost of steel for the build. Continuous maintenance. As I pointed out the numbers earlier, and like I said, $221,000 is what we spent at the end of 2025. So far this year, we've only spent $68,000. Not rotating the fleet keeps the most efficient inventory. We must have the funds up front to finance. Less consistent budget planning. No body warranty after 1 year, and no breakdown in coverage. Next slide is our fleet list, and I just wanted to kind of point these out that where we currently are with a lot of the garbage trucks. As you can see, they do have high mileage, and some people think that diesels, the high mileage doesn't mean a whole lot. These garbage trucks are tearing up and down the road, a lot of start and stop. They're not running like 18-wheelers are running up and down the highway. We're also going to and from the landfill. Up in the landfill, it's real bumpy, hilly. It's just a lot of torque on the truck to where if a truck's riding down the highway, it's riding smooth, and it's not that way inside the landfill. Working with David Clark on the fleet list, if we were to go this route, we could get rid of 4 vehicles right off the bat. And those would be the truck number 126. It's a 2004. It's 186,000 miles. Truck 132, 165,000 miles. It's 2009. 141, 2013, 142,000. And truck 143, 136,000. The going market for these garbage trucks usually run around 8 years. And as you can see, we're running a 2004. So we've got the max life out of what we can get. And I think, too, that's why our cost of maintenance has been so high, with that last year at $226,000. Any questions or comments? I also have the salesman from Peterbilt here, and also the lease guy, Eric, from Peterbilt as well, if we have any questions as well for them.
Mr. Craig?
2 quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Any municipality locally, do you know, that does this lease?
Very good question. So we coined, City of Mount Holly 2 years ago, we coined the service agreement with this maintenance. We bought it in. Now they're like, well, Mount Holly's doing it, and everybody's trying to jump on board. The same deal with this lease. We're coining it. We're kind of the pioneer. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of, hey, And they probably don't even like me, to be honest with you, because it's a lot of, hey, no, I want this.
They do, because you're going to buy a truck from them. So.
Hey, we want this, but I personally think it's good for the city's monies, because we just don't have a diesel mechanic, and that pay range is very high. It's probably $100 an hour, I'd imagine, for a diesel mechanic, and we just don't have that in the city garage.
And my last question was, is there any return on investment as far as selling those 4 trucks that we'd be getting rid of?
Yes, sir, and I actually said, well, you're going to take these in on trade days. He's like, man, that thing's a 2004, I don't want that. But yes, sir, we can put them on gov deals and put them out for sale, yes, sir.
Mr. Reeves?
Jason, you mentioned the bumper-to-bumper, I'm not going to call it a warranty, whatever it is. What does that encompass? I mean, compared to what we're doing now? I know we're paying all the expenses now.
Yes, sir.
So are we going to actually be benefiting, that they're going to be taking care of trucks? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. So,
Hydraulic brakes or something?
yes, sir. So currently, right now, with the service that we have, they come to our garage. We pull it in. If it's down, they come in. They do all the maintenance of it. But with the 2 that we've purchased, that's not included, because we purchased those and we're only paying that service. But with my understanding, and I'm glad they're here and they can hear me talk, so if they don't raise their hand, they're going to cover it bumper to bumper, because it's still their truck. Only thing we've got to take care of is the tires.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
Is there a restriction on miles per year if you lease?
Can you say that in the mic?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mayor, he said that it was, they've already factored in the mileage into the lease, so it's doubled.
Ms. Shoemaker?
This may be a dumb question, but when you lease a regular vehicle, like wear and tear and things like that, like you end up having to pay at the end of a contract, is that something that we're gonna have to deal with, or? Just come on up.
No, and we've factored that in as well. So on a vocational lease, like something like this, and we've done it at other places with TLG, City of St. Louis, things like that. It's coverage except for breakage, so brakes, bushing, pinions, all that regular stuff that actually wears out on a truck, that's all included. If you hit a post and broke the mirror off, that would be all.
But if
I'm sure you guys don't hit anything.
Yeah, but if there's like dents, dings.
Nope, we've got that all spelled out in there, yeah. So that's normal wear and tear, to your point.
On those, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's why we specified as a vocational lease. So yeah, that's to be expected.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
Mr. Meadows?
So I'm trying to summarize this. So it sounds like you're trying to get to a fixed cost that's predictable.
Yes, sir.
Versus a variable cost that's kind of all over the board.
Absolutely. So, yes, sir, because I think in the past 2 years, and I'll maybe get a nod back there from Mr. Clark, the year before, I think it was like 400,000. Last year it was 320-some thousand. So we're just up and down, and it would make it's better budgeting for me, and I think for probably finance and for you guys to say this is what our set payments are. And that 400,000 hurts, but it's easier for me to come up and ask you guys for 200,000 versus the 400,000 for the next 2 years, $800,000 in 2 years.
So if you go back 3 to 4 years ago, when we were spending over $200,000 a year, every 4 years, we were almost triple what you're asking for.
Yes, sir.
So if we continue to buy trucks, we could find ourselves down the road in a similar maintenance situation.
Absolutely, yes, sir, because that maintenance is going to run out. And with the 2 that we've currently bought, that maintenance will run out too, but because we've purchased them. But those are our capital to where these leases aren't. And so that's the take and give.
Mr. Meadows?
So you may study the 2 that you bought and see if in 2 years whether selling those and leasing to replace them might be a strategy to employ.
Absolutely, yeah, and I don't want to tell that guy, but that was kind of my thing is, hey, I want to come back in now and see about leasing these out to give them back to where the capital still is worth a return.
Mr. Brooks?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the option to purchase lease garbage truck. Have a second by Mr. Reeves. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. All right, next on our agenda is public hearing. Mr. Blanton, you want to take over? Or you want me to? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Presentation on the wastewater treatment plant decommissioning, Mr. Barry Sharon. Trying to leave you out.
Sorry, my file size was bigger than email wanted to accept.
Is this the one? I only received that one.
Okay, we'll go with it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I'm not used to this.
Did you have multiple files, Barry, or is this it?
There's one slide that was causing the problem, which is the what it's going to look like when we're done slide, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have it in our.
It's in the PDF PowerPoint, so I'll be able to talk about it. I just won't. It won't be up here. So, like I said, I'm Barry Sharon, HDR Engineering. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me come back and give you an update. The project, as you probably have been out and seen, it's definitely moving forward. So we're going to give you an update of sort of where we are, what's left, some challenges we have run into. Mark Filardi, a geologist with our environmental group, is going to talk a little bit at the end about one of the challenges we ran into, which wasn't terribly unexpected. But I'll kind of show you kind of where we are and then next steps going forward. See if this works. So, of course, that's where we started. You all have seen that one many, many times in terms of the plant was shut down just before shutting down, actually. This is where we were about 3 weeks ago in terms of a lot of leveling. We're working on that last basin there now in terms of trying to fill it. Some of the pond, one pond you see is in erosion control, and there'll be a second one we have to put in temporarily. So if you go out there, you'll see 2 more ponds. They're not permanent. They're just there until we get the grass to grow. And so we're moving forward. The base contract for this, council awarded last summer, so we've been at it, 8 months or so, is just shy of $10 million. That was really to do sort of what you've seen here, and then I guess we learned a month or so ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, the council had voted that this would become a park extension. So working with the staff in terms of what we might do differently or change or add to this, because some of what we didn't do, like there's a stormwater system on this site. We weren't planning, the base contract didn't upgrade it. We left it, we knew it was undersized, it hadn't not functioning, but depending on what was going to ultimately be used for the site, it probably was going to get changed out anyway. Now that we kind of know what the plan is, part of what I'll show you, so this one slide and the next slide, which you have, which I don't have, shows essentially athletic fields and a parking area, which is what we've worked with your staff to sort of say, this is what we think we want to get towards. Working under the grant, part of where we're at is also the grant was described as being decommissioning the wastewater plant or redevelopment, whatever redevelopment was. So we're having conversations now, myself and the staff of the grant folks, in terms of at what point, what does the grant cover? You had $15 million. We're probably going to have spent about 13 of that ballpark, so it was a couple million to do some things. So we're working with them now about what qualifies in terms of what else can we do. This grading of the site, we're going to finish that. We're actually going to go ahead and grade it because we didn't have to change the grading really for the athletic fields. Maybe change a few contours, but other than that, it's really the same. So some of this, by the way, will come back to you as a change order to the contractor because we're now adding work that was never in his contract. We're getting those prices now, so I can't answer that $64,000 question. We're going to replace the stormwater site. We're going to redirect some of the stormwater. It was all going to the south across your greenway or under that greenway. Some of it we're going to redirect to the north as a drainage area, improve some of that a little bit. But it will set it up with the athletic fields. Literally, some of the storm drainage will be between the potential athletic fields that you can see in that picture to go ahead and get the drainage set for that. So we're getting prices for that. We've also asked them to look at the street in the treatment plant itself. Got pretty well damaged. One of the things that this project required was about 90,000 yards of dirt. With a regular tandem dump truck, that's about 9,000 dump truck loads that had to get hauled into here, so you can imagine what it did to the asphalt. And so, if you live out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We knew that. We just knew it was going to have a certain pain to it to get it done. So the street in the plant, in the area, we're definitely going to repave because the grant folks have said you definitely can repair what's damaged. The question mark becomes anything that's new, like the parking lot. So we're still working with them to see if we can get that qualified. But it said if you damage it, it's part of the project. And so that's what we're looking at. So we'll look at Broome Street as well. We know there's maybe some damage out there on Tuckasegee that we had to possibly look at. Because, like I say, those trucks have been pounding it pretty good. And so we're going to look at all that and just see what qualifies. The one thing that we had to do, which is what Mark's going to come up here and talk about, was we knew going in we had to submit a plan to the Department of Environmental Quality, a closure plan. It really was to sample for groundwater issues. Well, you really couldn't do that until necessarily you empty the basins and see what you've got. And so as a part of that testing regimen that the state required us to do, we did have a detection of phenol, which I don't claim to know exactly what it is or what it does, but we know we need to address it. The hope is it becomes a hiccup. There's a plan involved, which I'm going to let Mark come up and kind of. We have been working with DEQ, and they've been great to work with. We have a plan. We're going to have to do some monitoring, which he's going to talk about, and then hopefully we remedy the situation and ultimately have it go away for you.
Good evening, folks. Thank you for having me. As Barry said, my name is Mark Filardi. I'm a senior geologist with HDR and specialize in environmental remediation. Was brought on the project after, brought into the project after the phenols were detected. So I just wanted to run through a little bit of the timeline here. So going back to October 2025, city staff collected samples out of Aeration Basin 3, submitted them to an analytical lab, and the analytical lab came back with phenol compounds above what NCDEQ allows, their allowable limits in those samples. So with that, HDR and the city met with NCDEQ and agreed to move forward with sampling groundwater at the wastewater treatment plant site. Those initial samples were sediment out of the bottom of the basins. And so we knew we had an issue in the sediment, so the next logical thing to do is to go ahead and collect groundwater samples. We did that by installing 5 temporary groundwater monitoring wells, and we did detect phenols above the DEQ standards. They call them the 2L standards back in December. And then in January, we submitted what we call the Limited Environmental Assessment Report to NCDEQ. Based on that report and the data contained in that report, NCDEQ requested that the city submit a groundwater assessment work plan, which we did at the end of February. And then, as of today, actually, we've mobilized to the field, to the site, to implement that work plan. So this might have been one of the slides that wreaked havoc on the file size. But this is an aerial, obviously before decommissioning. And I just wanted to walk through what the work plan involves and then what the next steps are. So implementation of the work plan, we proposed and NCDEQ agreed for the installation of 7 permanent monitoring wells. And so you see those on this figure as BG1, BG2, and then MW1 through MW5. They're the black and white hatched symbols. They also requested 3 soil borings in the existing, or in the former basins now. And that's really to understand the physical and chemical properties in the basins, below the basins, so that we can have that information to look at next steps at remediation of the groundwater. And then they've asked for 4 surface water samples too, which we have identified here as SW1 through SW4 in the Catawba River. What the other symbols that you see on here, the GW1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just the white circles on the map, those were our 5 temporary monitoring wells that we installed back in December, just for reference. So what we're really looking to do, DEQ is requiring assessment of the nature and extent of the phenols in groundwater. They want to know where it is, what the concentrations are, and then where it could potentially end up or migrate to. For our purposes, we also need to evaluate the need and the type of treatment moving forward. So the next steps, once we complete this field work that we'll be doing for the next roughly 8 days or so out at the site, we'll be sending our samples to a lab. We'll get the lab data back, evaluate the lab data. The soil that's coming out of the 3 basins, the SB 6, 7, and 8 that you see on the figure, will be sent to a treatability testing lab. It's a specialty lab where they take site-specific soil, apply different amendments or different chemicals to the soil to see what works best on that specific soil. So it's very site-specific to try and give us the best opportunity for success in reducing those phenol concentrations in groundwater. Ultimately, we anticipate that we would likely need to establish groundwater use restrictions for the site, which just means that the city would be agreeing that in the future development of this site, the city wouldn't install potable wells on the site. They wouldn't install a well for irrigation on the site. And so I think with it becoming a park, the irrigation could come into play, but otherwise it's an acceptable remediation method, engineering control, and just to keep from using that groundwater in the future. And that's what I have. I'm sure you have questions, so I'm happy to answer.
Mr. Brooks?
So how long do you have to keep those monitoring wells on the property?
It's a good question. Currently, there's not a timetable for them. What we have to do is collect enough samples to understand how that groundwater quality changes with seasonality, because your concentrations can increase or decrease with the seasons, with the amount of water flow through the system. We do and have talked with city folks out there about installing them in locations and in a manner such that they don't impede use of the property. We won't be installing any in the middle of future soccer fields. In areas where it makes sense, we plan to install them flush with the ground so you can drive over them, you can walk over them if you need to. In some of the more wooded areas, if I go back to the map, MW4, MW5, those likely would be completed as stand-up or stick-up wells where we install a 4-inch by 4-inch steel post, essentially. Sticks up about 2.5 to 3 feet high. But really, to answer the question, we're not sure how long. They will need to be in place enough to sample them and understand what's going on, and then post-remediation, they'll need to stay there so that as a means to gauge how the remediation is working and progressing.
Mr. Reeves?
So if we wanted to move forward with the soccer fields, this would not prohibit us from doing that with those wells in place?
That's correct, it would not. And we've had those conversations with NCDEQ up front, that we are in the middle of development, and so we didn't want to have to put any permanent structures in that would interfere with the development.
Mr. Meadows?
So it sounds like there's a lot of unknowns right this moment, but in general, what kind of timeline are we looking at for getting to what sounds like a land use restriction as a resolution?
Sure.
How far is that out in the future?
So we understand that there's a time limit on the grant money. And so our initial goal is to get as much work done as we can under that grant, get it booked, get it under that grant. Looking out ahead, it's probably a year's process to get to that groundwater restriction. Just for the pure fact that at a minimum we need 4 seasons worth of samples, and we just can't condense that time. But it would likely be more than a year worth of time.
Mr. Meadows?
So if that's the case, is it a question we can ask, looking at Jonathan and Barry, to maybe set aside an escrow within that grant money for remediation so we don't end up having to pay for that out of the city's funds directly? Is that?
Currently, the way our contract is set up, we do have that set as an allowance amount already.
Yeah, what I'm not sure about, which is probably Jonathan or the finance director, is that grant seems to be administered by paid receipts. So you have, instead of asking for reimbursement, you have it. So as I understand it, at some point, whenever, if it doesn't get extended, whatever you've paid to that date is all that qualifies. So, and you wouldn't pay us up front, or whoever does it up front, it would be over time. So there, I think there, we'd have to look at, is there a mechanism to get it? I know what you're saying, and the question, I'm not clear if there's a mechanism to get it.
Ms. Shoemaker?
So just because I'm not super familiar with remediating phenol, my question is, you keep mentioning remediation.
Yes.
But it sounds more like time is what is remediating the phenol.
So it will be both.
Is there an actual action?
There is. The active remediation portion, the soil samples that we collect out of the basins that we send into the off-site lab, that will be treatability testing for a host of different chemicals amendments. Once the lab reports back to us with their information, identifying which of the amendments had the most success in a lab setting, then we go and implement that in the field. And so it's the remediation in this case we're suspecting will look like a 1 or 2 time injection event where we take potable water and whatever the amendment is that we decide on, and we inject that into the groundwater. It's typically a biological type amendment for phenols, and what it does, it sends microbes down into the groundwater, and then they break down the phenol and reduce it into less harmful constituents.
Okay, so you're not trying to bind it, but there's, the microbes are digesting.
Yeah, it's actually a breakdown process.
Cool, thanks.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I was going to speak to Councilman Meadows' question about the extension, the escrow issue. If you will recall, Council, we were awarded a $15 million grant from the General Assembly several years ago. The original deadline that was put on that grant was in the fall of 2024. Of course, we were very much a full-service wastewater treatment plant in the fall of 2024, so we approached our General Assembly members about an extension. They approved an extension to go through June 30th, 2026. We are working with our delegation currently to seek an additional extension that we feel confident will be well received. It has not been finalized, but we are having those conversations with the hopes that we will be able to extend this grant funding until such time that the site is fully decommissioned. So those conversations are currently occurring as we speak tonight, Council.
Any other questions?
One thing I was going to add, and Mark, you help me with this one, because I know sometimes when you have a detection of something, people, one of the questions I thought I might get was, so how bad is it? But in terms of levels, the groundwater standards are actually much stricter than drinking water standards. And so, yes, we're multiple times on this compound above that, but we're also probably more multiple times below the drinking water standard. So it's not good, but only to say it's not terrible. It could be, it's not like some places where, you know, okay, they call them hot. This one, it's there, we need to deal with it, but it's definitely in a bracket of what EPA says is safe up here to where the groundwater standards are.
I was actually going to ask that, but I was afraid you'd just give me a number, and then, like, we'd have to, like, the people out there would just be like, what does that mean?
Give me the number, I'm not that person.
So basically, if we have soccer fields, baseball fields, whatever, and kids are out there playing, they don't have any problem, no worries as far as health issues or anything?
No, at this site, what we've seen thus far, groundwater is about 6 feet in the shallowest below the ground surface. So as long as the kids aren't digging to 6 feet to interact with the water, it's safe.
Can we get some signage?
Let's discourage that. Please don't allow your kids to dig 6 feet down.
Signage, right?
No graves.
Undertaker in the making there, so. All right. Any more questions? Any other?
And just to clarify, it is interaction with the groundwater, correct? It's just for the online viewers. It's not the soil. It's
Correct. It is likely in the soil at where the groundwater meets the soil. But what we assume has happened here is that inputs into the basins over time have settled down into the basins. The bottom of the basins are actually in contact with groundwater, and so that's how it got into the groundwater. So it is a groundwater issue. NCDEQ is concerned about groundwater, not soil. We don't expect the phenols to be in shallow soils where public may be interacting with it. It is in the groundwater, and again, 6 to 8 feet below ground surface.
perfect. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. So next up is our public hearing, public legislative hearing on the question of a joint development project conveyance to sell real estate on East Catawba Avenue, East Central Avenue, and Municipal Lane in downtown Mount Holly, North Carolina, for redevelopment under NCGS 160D1315. Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. For those of you that are not attorneys, I want to speak a little bit about exactly what we're doing here tonight in order to add some context, to clarify some questions that the city has received, and give a bit of background about where we are. As the mayor said, we are soon to open the public hearing on this particular matter. This has been known previously as the Veterans Park expansion, the downtown redevelopment project. The city has been working on acquiring properties in the downtown for quite some years now, and tonight a public hearing will be held on the question about whether to partner with Streetlights Residential in order to move forward with a mixed-use development. I want to talk a bit about these statutes. These statutes were put into place approximately 6 years ago by the North Carolina General Assembly, so they are relatively new statutes that were adopted. These give municipalities additional tools to acquire and dispose of real property for the purpose of redevelopment in the downtown area. And although they are new and they are new to the city of Mount Holly, they have been quite successful across the state since their creation. Recently, the town of Pineville, which this rendering is from, and the city of Statesville utilized these statutes to add to and revitalize their downtown with the creation of public parks, residential units, commercial space, parking garages, and improvements to public amenities similar to what Streetlights Residential is proposing to the city of Mount Holly. So this has been widely utilized since it was created some years ago, and although, like I said, it may be new to Mount Holly, it certainly has been successful in other places. Over the last several years, as I said, the city has been working towards expanding our downtown and creating a public park based off of needs identified in the 2008 and 2018 vision plan. Properties were acquired and outside partners were sought in order to make this project feasible, economic, and responsible. I am very proud that this city council has been very selective about what we want for our downtown, and this council demonstrated their commitment to demanding the best of the best for our community last year by rejecting a proposal to develop the property that we acquired several years ago. If you will recall, a proposal was brought to this council and they turned it down because it did not command the best of the best, which is what the city, this council, has put an emphasis on at the beginning, that if we're going to do this, we need to have the highest quality of development, we need to have the highest quality of standards, and this council has been committed to doing just that. Beginning last year, the city has been working with Streetlights Residential, a Texas-based entity responsible for the Bowl at Ballantyne and a vast portfolio of residential projects across the country. From Texas to Disneyland, they have engaged in many different projects over the past few years. If you look into their portfolio of work, you will see many impressive products that they have produced. We have been talking with them to discuss a mixed-use product that consists of a townhome project, public park, amphitheater, and open space. This rendering represents what this potential project in downtown Mount Holly is proposed to look like. This rendering was presented at a Mount Holly Matters community event that we had on January 22nd, thanks to our friends with the Mount Holly Community Development Foundation who joined with us that night. They collected questions in advance. They solicited feedback from the community that we responded to, that we addressed. We took those questions, we provided answers to all those questions, and we provided to those people that were interested in learning more. All in all, we received 13 questions that we received, and there were several common inquiries throughout the questions, such as pedestrian infrastructure, restrooms for the downtown park, size of the park, placement of the park, and most commonly, the question about commercial space in downtown was asked. We provided answers, particularly for the infrastructure, that we're working with our friends at the Gaston Lincoln Cleveland Metropolitan Planning Organization to address long-term infrastructure needs in the city. We showed renderings of where the proposed park was going to be. We talked about issues of the placement, the topo issues that we were facing that required the park to be to the east of the creek there, with the residential piece being to the west of the creek. We, of course, shared about the bathroom, the restroom situation that is proposed here, and I'll go into detail about that in a moment. And we've spent a lot of time addressing and discussing the issue of commercial space in downtown Mount Holly. The argument that we are going to be eliminated commercial space with the demolition of some of the projects or some of the buildings that will have to be removed in order to facilitate this project moving forward. Currently, on the site of the proposed development, there is 28,664 square feet of commercial space. If this proposal comes into fruition, 20,086 square feet of commercial space will go offline within the next 18 months. So there will be a short-term elimination of certain commercial space in the downtown area. However, there is commercial space that Streetlights is proposing. That, combined with the renovations at 131 South Main Street, the Futures Farmers Market, the city will see an increase of approximately 60,139 square feet of commercial space in the downtown area that will be coming online over the next 18 months. As you can see here, in the short term, we will see a dip if the council moves forward with the Streetlights proposal, if those buildings are demolished on Central. But as you can see, over the next 3 years, that number greatly increases based on the work that's being done at 131 South Main, what's being projected with the farmers market, as well as the commercial space that Streetlights themselves are proposing in this particular project. And as always, the city will work from an economic development standpoint to entice the best for our downtown and promote vacancies that remain unfilled, such as the former Create and Us space that currently is for lease, the former Dollar Express on North Main that has not seen a tenant in a little over a year now, and of course additional space that is soon to be available by the Smoke and Barrel. There are vacancies downtown. We're working to get those filled, and we'll continue to work with private property owners and our economic development team in order to fill those. Following the feedback that I just shared at the Mount Holly Matters, Council called for a public hearing on the question of moving forward with this development, and that's why we are here tonight. The general statutes provide for specific steps to be taken in order to utilize these provisions. The first is that an advertisement for the public hearing must occur twice a week leading up to the public hearing. The city complied with these requirements with recent advertisements over the last 2 weeks in the Gaston Gazette, and that was also posted on the city's website. Secondly, the city must state the appraised value of the property in question and the proposed consideration. As you can see here, the appraised value of this particular transaction is $2,540,000. The consideration that's being pledged towards the construction of a public park per the agreement is $3,150,000 with a total escrow amount of $4,150,000 with an extra $1 million being provided for soft cost of the project. Should council proceed with these agreements in the future, the next step would be a 6-month due diligence period. During this time, either party can terminate the agreement with or without cause prior to closing. During this time, a lot of information is going to be evaluated. A lot of discussions are going to be had. We're going to be working with Streetlights. Council's going to be presented with options to finalize the budget and concepts for the public park. We have rough renderings, but until such time that due diligence is underway, we will not know exactly what that looks like. During that time, Streetlights will have an opportunity to examine the property, to evaluate any type of environmental concerns that they may have. We will evaluate zoning of this property, and plat approval will occur during this 6 months. So the next step would be a due diligence period where either party could terminate this deal at any time over the next 6 months as we work towards closing. So a lot of people have asked, should the council approve this agreement, is work going to start immediately? And the answer to that is no. We would have the 6-month due diligence period, and then I'm going to share a little later on about the schedule of what this looks like. We're working with 3 separate agreements here, one being the purchase and sell agreement, one being the development agreement, and one being the escrow agreement. These are some of the essential tenets of these agreements. One is it provides Streetlights the opportunity to build a maximum of 120 townhome units. The public park will be approximately 118,918 square feet to consume that portion of the property east of the creek. There will be approximately 15,000 square feet of commercial space that's constructed, and we also talk about a dollar amount that we're roughly assigning to each one of these amenities. This, of course, will be discussed at length in due diligence, and that will be part of the finalization prior to closing. Currently, we are looking at approximately $2 million towards the park infrastructure and landscaping of the park, a stage with attached restrooms, totaling approximately $600,000, a playground estimated to be around $270,000, 1 or more pickleball courts totaling $200,000, and 1 or more small lawns, green space totaling $80,000. As I said, this is the schedule that we're looking at moving forward. Within the 6 months after the effective date, we will work through those due diligence items if given direction by council to do so. Following that, within 12 months after the due diligence, we will finalize all plans, specifications, and permits for the project. Within 30 days after the issuance of the permits for the project, we will close on the townhome property side of the project, and within 18 months after the closing, the developer will achieve substantial completion of the public park for this particular project. Should council move forward in the future with these discussions, this is what we're going to be looking at doing, and we will be working towards ensuring that we have the best public park possible, ensuring that all parties continue to work together in order to have the best possible product in the heart of downtown Mount Holly. These are the terms of the agreement. Mayor, council, I am happy to answer any questions that you all may have or ask for a motion to open the public hearing for public comment.
Any questions for Mr. Blanton? Mr. Craig?
Make a motion to open public hearing.
Okay, I have a motion to open our public hearing, second by Mr. Meadows. All in favor? We're now in our public hearing. We have one person signed up for our public hearing, Mr. Jim Hope. If you would please come and, he was here. Okay. Yeah. If you would please state your name and address for the record, please.
Jim Hope, 104 Clover Street, Mount Hollywood, North Carolina. I served this fine city for over 31 years in that leather. I want to make some comments tonight about the project that we just heard. Did a great job explaining it. Like a piece of chocolate cake, I wanted to take a bite. But you know, this may surprise some of you, but that property out there that you purchased, maybe I need to correct myself, the citizens purchased, y'all raised your hand. That piece of property is not going anywhere. It's been here since at least 1879. You know, I believe in my heart that after seeing and listening to serving this city all these years, that we all want the betterment for this city. But you know, when you sign that contract and turn it over to the developer, and you say, what kind of qualifications that I might have? Well, I'm a limited general contractor, a limited electrical contractor, been a real estate broker for 40 years. I got more than just an opinion. You sign a contract to a developer and they leave, and they're going to leave you with what they've got, what we've got. That's all we got. They're going to go back to wherever they're going to go back, and they're going to sit back and not worry about the mule going blind. They're going to load the wagon and get the mailbox money. 5 years, they're going to sell this property, if it's a rental property. And my problem with a lot of things in Mount Holly, we got enough people in Mount Holly. We don't have enough Mount Holly in the people. And that's where y'all come in. Give them something that they'll be proud of, something they can use and something they can do with. I encourage you, time is not of essence to make a decision on this. Make the best decision for the betterment of this city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hope. All right, Mr. Killer. Thank you for being here and your time that you spent serving this city. Thank you for that. So I would ask for a motion for continuation of this public hearing until April the 13th of 2026 at 7 p.m. We need some further review on the contract. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Reeves.
Motion to continue to April 13th.
Yes. Do we need some discussion?
Well, there's a motion. You gotta do a second.
Okay.
So I'll second it
Okay,
for sake of discussion.
I have a second by Ms. Harris. Now, is there any discussion? All right, Mr. Meadows.
What prevents us from closing the public hearing if there are items that we need to discuss as far as the agreement goes?
There's nothing that prevents you from closing the public hearing, Councilman Meadows, but if you continue it to April 13th, if, remaining issues are hammered out between staff and the developer, in the event that council wishes to hear any further public hearing, you have that ability by continuing it to have further public hearing on April 13th. But you're right, there's nothing that prevents you from closing it tonight.
Mr. Blanton, you have any?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Okay, so we have I'm sorry, Mr. Craig?
Well, I'm not sure the procedure, not being an attorney, but I was gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
I think we have to vote on the first.
Yeah, we have to.
There is currently a pending motion to continue the public hearing to April 13th, 2026 at 7 p.m., and that motion has been seconded. So there would need to be a vote on that motion, before there's a further motion made of that type.
Yeah.
Okay.
So currently you'd be voting
I understand that. but
whether to continue.
I don't know what the issues are that were.
Yeah, why
My
do we
understanding
need
was
to?
that we had.
Contractual issues. I think we still have some review on the contract. That's the biggest thing. Mr. Craig?
Can that not be worked out during the due diligence period? Ain't that what that's for?
The due diligence period is the buyer's due diligence period, and I want to clarify a point. Mr. Blanton said that during the due diligence period, either party could terminate for any reason or no reason. Only the buyer could terminate for any reason or no reason. We would be in the contract as the seller. So if the city has any remaining issues, which we are continuing to receive red line revisions between the two parties, it would be important from the city's perspective to have those finalized before approving the contract itself.
Mr. Meadows?
So the contracts still have to come back to council for approval, correct?
Correct.
So if we close the public hearing and then work the contracts out, we haven't stalled anything or?
That's correct. You could do it that way as well. Those are two ways to handle it. You could either continue the public hearing so that you have the opportunity to have further public hearing, or you could close it. Either one is an option for you as council.
Sorry. Yeah, just
I just asked if we close the public hearing and then move on to the contract negotiation, you still have to come back to council for approval of any of the contractual items. So instead of slowing the process down for another period of time, we can close the public hearing and continue the contract negotiation.
Councilman Meadows, if you continue the public hearing to April 13th, and by you, I mean the city council, if the public hearing was closed on that night, if all contractual issues were worked out, the contract could be also approved on the same night. There would be no need to bring it back on another night. And maybe I misunderstood you.
I'm struggling because I have no idea what these issues are. We had something come out in the packet, and there's been multiple red lines back and forth that we've seen several versions of, so I'm kind of at a loss on what we're negotiating, what we're talking about. I guess that's what
Well, I think, we need to listen to our attorneys and make sure that whatever we do, we're going to do it right. If we, it's 2 weeks. I think we can handle 2 weeks to go through this. If we need to look at, whatever, any other review that we need to look at to make sure this is right. This is something that's going to affect our citizens for decades.
Yeah, we said that 2 weeks ago as well.
That's right. That's right. And we can, and if we have to, we can go 2 more weeks. It doesn't matter. We have no timeline. We've got to do this right. We've got to make sure it's right.
But we're not voting to, agree on, we're not voting on the contract. Like this isn't, we're not voting right now tonight to say that we agreed to the contract. This is just another step. It doesn't make sense to me. It's going to come back to us one way or the other.
Sure.
So, I don't see why we.
Well, we can vote on it, and however it winds up, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, because what I know from the packet, that's all I have to go off of. And so what's in the packet is understood by me, and I can only have one vote and speaking for myself on this, but it hasn't been explained, so I'm not sure why we need to extend.
That's why we're going into closed session.
And I didn't know that.
it just happened tonight.
That's
That's
good.
why it was put on the, that's why it was put on the agenda when we set the agenda.
No, I mean, that's fine, but it wasn't explained, so.
So we're going into closed session tonight to talk about this?
Yes. We're going into closed session tonight in accordance with the North Carolina General Statute S-143, 318, 35 for the attorney-client privilege and contract negotiation. So I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Reeves. I have a second by Ms. Harris, and that is for continuation of the public hearing. All in favor for that, raise your hand. All opposed? All right, so we have Ms. Harris and Mr. Reeves for, and everyone else against. Got that, Shelley? All right, so we will not have a continuation of our public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
I have a motion to close a public hearing by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Craig. All in favor? Okay, I have a 5-1. Ms. Harris did not vote. Or, I'm sorry, all opposed. Ms. Harris says no. 5-1. All right. So we're moving on. Anything else, Mr., other than the city manager report?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, next on our agenda, the new business, we have the city manager report. Mr. Jonathan Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are several things that I want to share with the public and council tonight. A lot is going to happen between the time we leave here tonight and the time we come back in 2 weeks. We will be having a ribbon cutting on Thursday at Zamora Orthodontics. This is the new orthodontist that opened up in the South Gateway building in the new medical complex. We certainly welcome that business into the city of Mount Holly, and we're going to be joining with our friends at Moncross at 5 p.m. on Thursday to celebrate the newest business in the South Gateway facility. So certainly invite council and the public to attend as we celebrate this another milestone in the South Gateway area. Also, next Wednesday at 10 a.m., we will have the toddler egg hunt with our Parks and Rec department at Tuck Park. Always a great event, very well attended. Certainly invite everyone to come out and join us next Wednesday at 10 a.m. On Friday, April 3rd, Good Friday, city administrative offices will be closed, but there will be no delay in residential garbage pickup, so we certainly wish everyone a safe and happy Easter holiday. We will be having Chalk the Walk on April 11th right here at Linear Park at the Municipal Complex on Saturday, April the 11th, beginning at 10 a.m. We had a wildly successful time last year and looking forward to another great day here in a couple of weeks with our Parks and Recreation Department, so join us for that if you can. As the mayor mentioned, officially we have our new finance director, so certainly welcome to Ashley, who is with us tonight, that will started with us full-time today, so we greatly appreciate her willingness to join our award-winning finance team here, and we certainly welcome you to the city of Mount Holly. I did want to thank all of our speakers that spoke here tonight. Particularly, I wanted to speak to Mr. Green. Yeah, Jason's still here. I wanted to note that we did a very similar project with the leasing of our police department that's turned out to be wildly successful. So certainly thank you to Jason for pursuing that project, Mr. Clark for looking into that for us, and we look forward to moving forward with that discussion. That is all that I have for formal matters tonight, Mr. Mayor, but glad to answer any questions or concerns of the council.
Any questions for Mr. Blanton? All right. So we're going to move on. I need a motion to go into closed session. I have a motion by Ms. Harris, second by Ms. Shoemaker. All in favor? We're now in closed session.